We thought, who better to get to the bottom of what's up with sleepy, creepy Beijing Joe Biden? And we came up with, of course, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, the man who used to be in the Trump White House the first time around, may well be in the Trump White House the second time around. Sebastian, very good evening to you.
Greetings. Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Not at all. Great to have you on, because you and I talk about the current president from time to time. This week, he seems to have excelled himself. Let's have a look at his press conference just the other day when he was talking about a ceasefire in Gaza.
There's some movement. There's been a response from there's been a response from the opposition, but yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas, but it seems to be a little over the top. We're not sure where it is. There's a continuing negotiation right now.
Yeah, we're not sure, Sebastian. I'm not sure he should be in the White House Oval Office. Are you?
What you can't tell from that clip, you could just about hear it in the background. If you see the larger footage, you'll see. You know how he calls it the opposition, like it's the Labour Party or the Lib Dems.
Right.
These are the terrorists.
Right.
But you know what happens? He's going from the opposite, and then one of the members of the mainstream line corporate media says, Hamas.
Right.
It's Hamas.
Right.
They actually have to. The corporate media just went after my old boss, hammer and tongs, for 4 years, screaming at him, grabbing the microphone from the White House. And said, this time, because it's sleepy, creepy Joe Biden, they said, hey, shh, it's Hamas. It's Hamas. Ring a friend for a clue.
Right.
And then, I don't know if you're going to play them as well, but what he did, where he saw dead people. He saw Mitterrand.
Yes.
He saw Kohl, and he thought that Mitterrand was the Chancellor of Germany, and he thought that the G7 is NATO. You have to laugh, because otherwise you think, oh my gosh, that guy could start World War III.
Well, we've actually got that clip. You would not be surprised to know. Let's have a look at it.
Right after I was elected, I went to what they call a G7 meeting, all the NATO leaders. And it was in the south of England. And I sat down and I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from from France looked at me and said, how long are you back for?
I mean, I don't even know where to begin with all of that. First of all, I don't know if that ever appeared in the London Times. I don't know whether he ever spoke to the ghost of Francois Mitterrand in the south of England. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Who was the Chancellor of Germany at the time, although he'd been dead for 20 years. Look, you have to. Let's do the funny part first, and then the serious part.
Yeah.
The funny part is, I don't care what your politics are. I don't care. Did you tune into Mike by accident? I don't care. Would you let that man walk your dog?
No.
Would you let that man babysit your child?
No.
Within 30 feet of him, 24 hours a day, there's a fat briefcase that has the launch codes and the command and control communications to start a nuclear war.
Right.
That man is in charge. Now, the second half of it, look, the only person who was killed that day, he's talking about January 6th, of course, was Ashley Babbitt. No police officers were killed that day. Right. Ashley Babbitt was an unarmed 100-pound woman who had been a U.S. Army officer for 14 years. She was shot dead by a Capitol Police officer whose identity was hidden for 6 months, was then the star of puff pieces, and was given a medal for shooting an unarmed woman. They really think they can get away by lying to your face in such a fashion that nobody's going to check. But that man, sadly, Mike, allegedly is the president of the United States.
Well, that is the problem. But the seriousness of it this week for me is that when you start talking, and I have a little knowledge about this because it happened to my own father, when you start talking about events in the past and you start mixing them up and you start going back beyond the period that you're actually talking about to give up names from 20 years earlier, that to me is a pretty early and good sign that there's some kind of dementia going on.
Well, not only that, if you talk to medical professionals or people like yourself who've seen this in their own families, there's also the function of the filter drops. There's no filter.
Right.
And we've seen that. I mean, he's in a Ford factory, supposed to be a campaign event. And one of the workers in a hard hat says, "What about my Second Amendment rights? What about the taxes?" And this guy just jumps down his throat. At another campaign event, he said, "Oh, really tough guy? Well, let's have a race right now. We'll do press-ups. We'll see who..." Hang on, you're the president, and you're challenging a constituent to push-ups, as they say here in America. When you lose that filter, that's also another clinical sign of early onset.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. And of course, I keep hearing now more and more that the Democrats have played themselves into a corner, because at the beginning of all of this, they thought, oh yeah, we definitely want to go up against Trump because Trump is somebody we've beaten before. Oh, now we can beat him again. Now they're terrified because they're up against Trump.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this result. I mean, this poor woman who's being funded by the Democrats to be a fake conservative. Nikki Haley, we had a primary, okay, in a state where President Trump wasn't even on the ballot, okay, Nevada. Nikki Haley lost to the none of above candidates. President Trump wasn't on the ballot. There's like half a dozen no-name people, including Mike Pence, the former vice president, who's already dropped out of the race. She lost to the no-name, none of the above. President Trump, if we had the election right now, Mike, it would be like 1980. It would be a 49-state blowout like Reagan. That's amazing. Why the court cases, that's why the suspension of his immunity, because they know they can't win fair and square.
Exactly. They'd be better at putting Bill Haley up with the rest of the comets to see how he gets on. Let's
have a look.
That
was a good song.
It was. Let's have a look at Biden in an earlier incarnation. This is last year.
God save the Queen, man.
God save the Queen, man. Unfortunately for him, she had already died some 9 months earlier.
But you know what the really telling thing is about that? Not only the little kind of signal, little jog off the stage and the handler trying to say, no, this way, Mr. President. When he says this kind of outre phrase, God save the Queen, man. Never heard that before. No. And what do the Democrats in the audience do, Mike? They cheer. They're cheering. Oh, look, Sleepy Creepy Joe's done it again. Let's clap and cheer. It's a cult. These people are cultists.
They really are. They really are. I mean, let's have a look as we speak towards the end of all of the ridiculous things. There he is falling down. And I was saying this to somebody today. You know, whenever he goes out now, presumably his handlers are just hoping he doesn't trip up and he doesn't literally fall on his face, because he's walking up Air Force One steps, trips not once, twice, falls down, gets up again, cleans his knees, tries to go again. Here he is trying to put a jacket on, can't put his jacket on, needs the help of Dr. Jill Biden and outside Marine One. It's just an extraordinary situation. And I saw also the final one I saw this week was of Jill leading him off stage and not realising the microphone was still on and saying, "You've got to go off this way, Joe."
Yeah, and do you remember when President Trump was addressing the cadets at West Point and it had rained and there was this metal ramp that he decided to walk down slowly because it was metal and it was covered in water. And oh my gosh, he's senile. He's unfit for office. Yeah, he wears leather-soled shoes like you and I do, and he's going down a metal ramp. Do you know how bad it is? In Air Force One, there's the big staircase on the front for the president and the first lady. On the back, the staffers like me and the schlep like the press corps go on the little staircase at the back. They don't let him on the big staircase anymore because it's too big and there are too many steps. The president of the United States has to go up the kiddie steps at the back. God. I'm not kidding.
Jeez.
I'm not kidding. It's right now.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, the trouble is, it's unbelievable that we've got to put up with this guy for the next 9 months or so, maybe 10 months. We can only imagine what's going to happen. But listen, Sebastian, great to see you. Great to talk to you. Thank you for being on the World According to Mike Graham. We must have you back on again soon. That was, of course, our deep dive into what's wrong with sleepy, creepy Beijing Joe Biden. That's all we've got time for in part one. We're back after the break with Prime Minister for a week. Welcome back to the world according to Mike Graham. Coming up, my big apology. But first, Prime Minister for a week. Let's meet the panellists for this week's Prime Minister for a week. And we've got two newbies, although not really. Maddie Hale is here for the first time. Welcome to the world according to Mike Graham. Ian Collins, I mean, it's not really right to call you a newbie. You've been around longer than me. You know.
Been around the block a bit.
But it's the first time you've been on this show, so thank you so much for coming. Almost. Anyway, let's get right to it. Maddie, what's your first suggestion?
Well, this is timely, guys, because the Australian government, where I obviously hail from, has introduced...
When you say hail from...
Maddie hail from.
You do that delivery.
Which is a pun and play on words there.
Yeah.
Where you were deported from, yes.
Anyway, the Australian government has introduced a law.
Right.
It's a proposal, but it'll probably go through, where basically workers have the right to ignore their bosses after hours.
Right.
The whole incentive is to protect their social life and protect their... right to live a normal life.
They can have the Barbie on the beach without getting a call from the office.
And so if you ignore your boss, say you are my boss, which would never happen, but if you did call me...
They won't let me be anybody's boss anymore because, I can't tell you why.
Old stories.
Yeah.
But if you called me after
I was a
8
witness
PM,
in the court case.
Yeah. Why does he have a job?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked that.
If you called me after hours and I chose to ignore you, I have the right to basically say, I want to ignore you. Yes. And if they pester me, they can be fined money.
But what do you call after hours? And what if you're working from home?
Depends on your roster.
Well, exactly. Because what if you work... This is all complicated now by people working from home who are constantly saying that, they're much more effective working from home.
But
they're not, actually, because they work whenever they feel like working. So they could be working at 4 o'clock in the morning. Over to you,
That's
Ian.
what happened. I would like... So, Prime Minister, if I was Prime Minister for the day, I would like...
How about a week? Don't do yourself short.
But after a day, I might get fed up with it.
Oh, okay. Fair
enough. You know what? I've got all the rules and regs in place. Now I can go to the beach, maybe.
Right.
Well, I would be a deputy, I imagine.
Emails.
Yes.
What I'd like to do is have a 5-year mandatory prison sentence for anybody that utters the word Brexit.
Yes.
Because this happened in 2016.
Yes.
And here we are.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
8 years later. 8 years later.
It was the 8th anniversary of Brexit, apparently.
Correct.
End of January.
So people are still fighting like ferrets in the sack, arguing that we shouldn't have done...
boring the arse of everybody, by the way.
Every step of the way. The journalist Ian Dunt, who's not necessarily of our political flavour, but he said to me in about...
So that's not a misprint.
He said to me...
I know him.
Are you quoting yourself again?
In 2014, he said to me, I don't want this Brexit thing. And I said, yeah, but you're kind of on the left.
Oh, so what's it going to do with him?
And he said, no, not for that reason. He said, for this reason, he said, because we will talk about nothing else for the next 10 years. And
That's
I thought,
true.
Well, he's kind of onto something.
Well, he won't talk about anything else because he's obsessed with it, because he lost.
Well, that's why he needs to go to jail.
Yeah, I'm very happy with jailing Ian Dunt.
Else.
No question at all.
I don't care who.
Who cares about overcrowding?
You
just send half the country there.
He's a nice bloke.
I'm sure he is.
But I don't want anybody talking about Brexit at all.
It's a very stupid name, though, you've got to admit.
Brexit?
No, Dunt.
Oh, yeah, OK. We're not going to get into that.
All right, Maddie, what have you got for us next?
This one was, actually, I took this to the newsroom. I said, what do we want, team? I'm the Prime Minister. And they said, first of all, amazing, you'd be so good at that. Second of all, during the weekends, we should kind of stop...
If you brought this as some kind of collective bargaining thing.
Yeah, I want to...
This is what all the wokists want.
When you're a good leader, you listen to constituents. So
Really?
I looked around my newsroom and I said, constituents, what do we want? One of the answers was pedestrianised...
I would fire every single one of these people who thought that this wasn't
These
a good
are
idea.
your colleagues,
Well, I would fire every
pedestrianised.
single one of them. The Independent Republic of Mike Graham is not
Oh,
democracy.
my God. OK, well, I just want pedestrianised London City during the weekends. So there's more walking, less cars. I don't like the traffic. Put more tubes on. Come on, just for the weekend. Just trial it for a week.
You want to pedestrianise a capital
Half of
city?
London's already
Not a capital
pedestrianised.
city, just the main city
Half
area.
of it already is pedestrianised, though, at the
Not the
weekends.
areas I'm in.
Well, where are you? Where you're not getting
Just
too many
the big
cars?
smoke of Soho and all that
Soho?
area.
You can't drive up those places anyway.
No, nobody
But there
drives
are
there.
cars there.
Yeah, there are cars, and the reason they're tail to tail is because the mayor down in London has put so many restrictions on what you can and cannot do, and even when you can drive, it's got to be at about 0 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Then they're
well,
going to
I'll
film
be
you,
adding
and then
to
they're going to check out what kind of exhaust pipe you've got in your car, and
Right.
God knows what else. So the mere idea of trying to be, it's already bloody difficult. You
It
want to
is.
make it even harder.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to trial it out.
Ban all the cars.
I'm just not used to this. I don't like driving in this city.
Yeah, but the thing about living in a city is that there's lots of other people who live in the city,
Yeah.
and you don't have to bend to your will because
Okay.
you don't
Well,
like it.
as we've discussed previously, this is my time.
Yeah,
so,
it is. Listen, you're perfectly willing to ask for it, and I'm perfectly willing to deny it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, Ian, over to you.
Yeah, I think that there is common agreement on certain phrases that people use that should be completely banned.
Yes.
Stuff that is either just doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stand up to scrutiny.
It's just a sort of
and drive
phrase.
you up the wall. Those kind of things. For example, you know when you email somebody and you get a bounce back email saying, really sorry, I'm on annual leave.
Yes, I hate that.
yes,
Annual
we don't
leave.
like
Yeah,
that
I
word.
hate that.
What are you, in the RAF?
Yeah, I'd
Annual
rather-
leave?
yeah, exactly.
What are you, a wing commander?
I know.
Annual leave?
It's not.
Piss off.
I know.
You're on holiday.
These are wanky
I'm
phrases.
having a day off.
Yeah.
You never meet your mates in the street and they say, what are you doing out at this time? Oh, I'm on annual leave.
Everyone
Nobody ever
says
said
it though
that. They
now.
punch
It's
you in the-
do.
been accepted as part of the vernacular now.
But only on email.
Because apparently you can't say I'm off. Why can't you just say I'm off?
Because I think that, following on from my first thing,
Yeah.
that makes you look like you're allowed to speak to them. Annual leave, I feel like
Annual
makes
leave.
people
Oh,
think
do you
it's...
think that's why they're doing it?
Well, I think so. It's probably like
I'm going to start
formal.
ringing these people up. If I see somebody who's on annual leave, I'm just going to ring them.
I'm glad you said
we
ring
might
them.
do that to you, Mike.
Well, here's
You
another...
can call me anytime.
No, here's another one. You said ring them.
I don't answer
That's
my
the correct,
phone
That's
to
the
anyone.
correct terminology. I'm
Yeah.
going to ring them or I'm going to phone them.
Yeah.
What you're not going to do is reach out.
No, I'm
There's
not going to
another
reach
one.
out to them. No.
There's another one.
Yeah.
I often say to my producer,
Wanky.
have we got? Yes, indeed. I say to my producer, have we got that MP coming? He goes, well, I've reached out to him.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
It's not a counselling.
He's not
session.
hanging off a cliff,
You've
is he?
reached out to him.
I'm going to just save his life.
And the other one, which I think Meghan Markle is the greatest exponent
Yes.
of, we saw it in the Oprah interview.
We did.
My truth.
Yes.
No, you don't get your own truth.
Pack of lies.
Yeah, you don't get your own.
No.
You don't get your own
No.
set of facts.
No.
There are facts and then there's opinions. You
Yes.
don't get your own truth.
No,
love.
there's the truth.
Come on.
You know, in fact, did it not used to be a magazine written by Jehovah's Witnesses? That was the truth, wasn't it?
Is that right?
I think so. I
Is
think
it?
that was the name of it, yeah. Yeah, they used to put it through the door for free. And I'd read it because it was free. But it was rubbish.
Is that what got you into journalism?
I didn't. It's
times
about,
was
about the
tough
only
for
place I
him.
didn't
Praise
apply.
be the witness.
It's about the only place I didn't apply for a job, actually.
Fantastic.
Right, Maddie, your final one.
Okay, this is new to me. I want to ban politicians from going on I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here.
Right.
I just, come
I like
on,
that.
it's so
How about just
cringe.
banning the whole show?
No, because it's entertainment to some people, not
Not
to
to
me.
me.
Not
Is there
to me
an
as well.
Australian version of
There
that
is.
show?
Oh,
Was it?
is there?
Yeah, they come to Britain to
That's
do
just
it.
what-
Or,
They go to
or
Bradford or
is it
something.
just in the Australian jungle? I don't know. But when I see like Nigel Farage and
Technically, he's not a
what
politician, though.
no, but he
Hancock.
said he might want to go back into
Oh,
it.
so you want to ban people who might want to be politicians?
Well, yeah, don't say you are potentially going to go back into it. Like, it's weird.
Well,
Boris
anybody can
Johnson's
become
dad,
a politician, though. Anybody
I
can
just think
become a
if you've been
politician.
on the payroll, don't go on a celebrity show. It's just weird. It's just cringe. This is my opinion.
You're
It's not
very.
going on.
Every now and again, you can. Very
it's
ready
just a
to
bit of a-
come out of it well.
No,
I mean, Nadine
I think it's a
Dorries
hideous
did all right.
programme. I've never been interested in it. I mean, I've had to watch it sometimes for purposes of doing stories on it and stuff like that. But I hate all these reality shows anyway. Like Big Brother was the same. Getting into a
Oh,
house.
I loved Big Brother. I'm not gonna lie. That was amazing.
So why did you like that and hate the other one?
Because it's very. I mean, I'm not used to it. You don't. If you're a politician, current or former, it doesn't matter. It's
George
very.
Galloway went into the Big Brother house.
But
and
at
he was
home,
he
it's
was a
like you don't
politician.
do that. You have a career that would not allow that. And here in England, it's everyone can
Mind
just
you, you have
run
prime
off.
ministers that burst into tears, don't you? So I mean, you know.
Who?
That guy, the Labour guy, when he was standing down, what was his name? He came back later, but he burst into tears.
Oh, well,
in
it's
his
an
leaving
emotional
speech.
time.
Andrew,
Mike.
who was the Aussie PM? Was it Paul Keating who put his arm around the Queen?
Yes, it
Oh,
was.
well, we're a
breaking-
friendly
yeah.
bunch.
Breaking
Yeah,
royal protocol.
which wasn't allowed.
Oh, come on.
Not allowed.
100 years before he'd
can't
have
be
We're
doing
all
that.
friends here.
He'd have had his head cut off.
Yeah, he would have done. Should have done.
I tried to email him about it, but
back
got
in-
an out-of-office
Okay.
reply. saying,
Exactly right.
I'm on annual leave.
Annual
Plus,
leave.
it's gone 5 o'clock. Why are you
Plus,
emailing?
plus
What's
this
your-
is my truth.
What's your final one? Before
Final
we
one.
lose control
I thought
completely?
long and hard about this because this is quite a biggie. And it
Yeah.
wouldn't have been, 10 years ago if I'd have said this, it wouldn't have been that significant. But I would actually quite like to outlaw all social media.
Yes.
Because the longer it's gone on, the greater the cesspit has become.
I would be well out of
The
job.
bilious and poisonous nature of it. And what was...
Wouldn't it go
once-
underground, though? Wouldn't you get underground social media?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose you...
That's true.
Yeah, but
Headed by
then-
Elon and Trump, probably.
I'm just going to go on my secret Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose there is that
So
danger.
you haven't thought about that? You don't think like us as prime ministers?
No, I'm aware of that, but then you just
There's a
find those
loophole.
people. You just find those people and send them to the state penitentiary.
Yes. You'd have to build quite a few of those, obviously.
You'd have to build
Yeah.
quite a lot of them.
You'd
I
have
mean, I know there's...
technically Twitter jail would actually be a jail.
We've had a lot of fun, Mike, on social media
Yeah.
and on Twitter and the
Yeah.
like over the years, and it can be quite useful because you see a politician say something and you think, hang on a second, that's
Yeah.
a great story.
Yeah.
And then you can follow it up. But when you consider the accelerating and copious conglomerate
It's very
of
toxic.
half-wits
Yeah.
and poisonous morons
Right.
that
Absolutely.
hang around in that
Yeah.
place, it's with almost no understanding of how humans are meant to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think, do you know what? Let's call it a day.
Well,
Yeah.
let's just get rid of them.
Uninvented.
How?
Yeah. Sorry, Elon. Sorry, Mr. Zuckerberg.
Maybe we just have to
Your
get a
day
bit
is
cleverer about it and be able to zap people's ability to be on it.
That's what I was- yeah.
So that, you know how you used to go to hotels and you couldn't use your mobile phone because they'd have a block. So
Yeah.
you'd have to use the hotel phone. This was many years ago. And you'd have to then be charged bucket loads of money to make a phone call. You could surely do the same thing and just, make people unable to access any social media by
Until
putting a
you've,
sort of,
until you've had an IQ test.
yeah, or
Yeah.
put,
Something like that.
Or until you
put
stop
some kind of
posting mean
force
stuff
field.
about...
Put some kind of
About
force
us.
field around them,
Yeah, I like
Anyway,
it.
listen, you guys have been great.
Thank
I'm
you.
slightly worried about pedestrianising London, though. That's the
I
only
think,
thing.
look, it was just a thought. There's
Yeah.
obviously a lot of thoughts. in it.
Very ill.
Let that be a lesson
Okay,
to you.
that was
Never
quite
take any
rude.
advice from anybody on the 10th floor, right? That
Yeah.
would be my advice.
It'll
to
only
you.
end in tears.
It'll only end in tears.
Yeah.
Ian Collins, Prime Minister for the week. I think you'd be
Fantastic.
great. I think
Yeah,
you'd
you
do a great job.
Of course.
Could I be his deputy at the very least?
Only after hours, though.
Oh, fair.
Yes.
I'll
You
take what I can get.
I mean,
Yeah.
after
Between 10
hours.
and
You can actually
2.
be Prime Minister after hours. When he stops answering his
I'd do
phone,
the fun one.
you could do it.
You would
Yeah.
win by popular vote if you had me.
There you go.
There you go. So,
Sorted.
a double act.
We've got the cabinet already.
Well played.
Just the two of us running
Brilliant.
the game.
Well, there we are. There we have it. Thank you, Maddie Hale. Thank you, Ian Collins.
Thank you.
That was Prime Minister for a week. I thought it might all be different. I thought it might be time to forgive and forget. I thought, well, look, if he's got on a plane and he's come all this way, then surely it might be worth apologising to him for some of the things we've said in the past. But no, unfortunately, Harry the Herbert managed to screw it up again. That's right, he got on a plane in Los Angeles, he flew all the way to Heathrow, first class of course, went all the way into the Windsor Lounge, and then came all the way to Clarence House to see his dad for half an hour. Half an hour. He spent 26 hours in London, supposedly to see his family. His brother wouldn't see him. His brother's wife wouldn't see him. His father's wife wouldn't see him. Nobody wanted to see him. His father saw him under duress shortly before he jumped on a helicopter and got the hell out of there. So I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Harry, you are still a Herbert. That's all we've got time for on The World according to Mike Graham. We'll be back same time next week.